Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of Doing Justice Brings Joy. I am with you today. We have a number of things going on this week, but the main thing I want to let you know is that primary season is open. The gate, we have early vote numbers coming in. Thomas will be with us in a few minutes to talk about those early vote numbers. If you are in Durham, Rocky Mount, Fayetteville, and any numerous all across our region, we are having elections and primaries. Rocky Mount is an election. And if there is a runoff, it will take place on election day in November. For for Durham and Fayetteville, this is, and Morrisville. Oh, Morrisville is an election too, I believe. We are having primaries. In Durham, there is going to be a second primary, but we need you to show up and decide who's going to participate in that second primary. It's critically important that everyone get out and vote. Get out and vote. We're looking, again, a shout out to Mecklenburg County and City of Charlotte for coming in strong and giving us really good primary results. Hi, Thomas. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, early voting has started, and what's cooking? What is it looking like?
Okay. Uh,
And while you're doing that, while you're looking that up, just want to remind people again that in-person early voting is open for this October municipal elections and primaries. The first day of early vote was yesterday, and early voting will continue through October 4th, 2025 at 3 p.m. Let me know, Tommy, whenever you're ready. In the meantime, I'm going to be participating in a community discussion about the upcoming Uniform Development Ordinance of Durham. And I'm going to try to get you the details about that tomorrow event tomorrow.
okay. I have the basic information for you.
Okay. Um, share at will.
Well,
And can you make that bigger on your page? No, I can see it well. I'm sorry. I can see it.
okay, you can see it. All right. Well, this is the statewide total for early voting. So on the first day, I think we had almost 1,000. 800 people show up, to the polls in the various, you know, cities having their primaries, and 100 people have already returned their mail-in ballots and have, those in. If you see on this next slide are the various counties which are having municipal primaries of some type. And so I think, if I'm not mistaken, you wanted to highlight the elections in Fayetteville, Durham, and Rocky Mount. Is that correct?
Yes, but no need to pull up the Rocky Mount numbers are looking pretty sad. What's Craven County?
Um,
What's going on in Craven County?
they're having. Let me see. I'll see what city is having a primary there if you want, and so I can do that in a minute. But what I will show you is, if you look here, the next one is by county, and so this is Nash County. The people voted at the Board of Elections office, and the same is true for Edgecombe County and
Are
Mom.
those the only two? So are those the only two sites open?
Viewers may not know, but that the city of Rocky Mount is actually between Edgecombe and Nash counties, and so some of the races, people from both counties will be able to vote in the race for the city council seats. And so I think what you're seeing is that the early vote site, at least for the time being, is the county board of elections office in each county, which neither of those are in Rocky Mount. And so
neither of those are in Rocky Mount?
No, the county seat of Edgecombe County and the county seat of Nash County are not Rocky Mount. So the board of elections office is, in those cities. I'll show you those cities, in a minute. And so I think that may be why you don't have, too many people voting in those counties yet. If you see in Durham, you can see that Durham has 5 sites open, and so people appear to be using all of them, at least somewhat, on the first day. And so, I think Cumberland has only the Board of Elections office, but I believe that is in Fayetteville. I believe Fayetteville is the county seat, so I think that is in Fayetteville, and so I think that's why you see, people vote in Fayetteville, but not in Rocky Mount. And so I'll try to show that for you in a minute. Okay.
So, what?
I'll have the early vote sites for you, and so I'll show those to you now.
Okay, great.
No, that's the wrong site.
Folks, these primary elections are really important. And I believe as we discussed last week, what's going on in Rocky Mount is an actual election with a runoff in November. So if you don't vote during this early vote period, you won't really be able to participate in the choices on all the elections. So it's very critical that we get out and vote.
Okay.
So the early vote sites in Cumberland, in Craven, Cumberland, and Durham counties are right there. These are the big turnout spots in the state. Instead of voting at the county office of elections, you're going to vote at the Stanley White Recreational Center in New Bern in Craven County. And apparently people are very aware of that, as it looks like there's been a tremendous outpouring of votes in New Bern. And I guess we'll check to see what's fired. People got people fired up and ready to go in Craven County this early vote season. Cumberland County Board of Elections office at 227 Fountainhead Lane. That's the early vote site there. And so again, the Board of Elections office in Fayetteville is where you're going to go for early voting. And this looks like this is throughout the early vote period. It'll all be at the Cumberland County Board of Elections. For the Durham County Board of Elections, that office is at 3825 South Roxborough Street in Durham. The East Regional Library is at 211 Lick Creek Lane in Durham. We got the North Carolina Central one-stop vote. It's very critical if you live in Hayti that you go and use the NCCU one-stop to vote. If you live in Bragtown, the North Regional Library, 221 Milton Road in Durham, critical place for you to vote. If you're in South Durham, need you to vote at 4505 South Austin Avenue for early vote. These offices are open. These sites are open, and we're looking forward to your participation in using those early vote sites. Edgecombe County. It looks like there are two places you can vote. One is at the Edgecombe County Board of Elections, and that's at 201 St. Andrews Street in Tarboro. So even though you're voting in the Rocky Mount City Council race, you only can vote this week, today. You can only vote today by driving to Tarboro. And then starting Monday, the 22nd. No. So, okay, here it is. You can vote. You can vote in Tarboro all of next week, today and all of next week in Tarboro. So you got to drive to Tarboro to vote early. And then on Monday the 29th, you can vote at the Rocky Mount Department of Social Services at 301 South Fairview Road. But next week, those of you who can, we need you to go to Tarboro and vote early. If you have a chance to have a reason to go to Tarboro, go there next week to early vote. So what this means for us regular viewers is that stay with Edgecombe and then we'll move on to Nash. What this means, if you're in Tarboro, if you're in Rocky Mount, you have to drive to Tarboro for the first part of early voting. The last week of early voting, they are opening up a site in the city of Rocky Mount at 301 South Fairview Road. We will emphasize that change next week when Tommy will bring us the results. I guess we can anticipate low turnout in terms of early votes because people have to drive to Tarboro. But we're going to be looking for a big boost in turnout. So the polls are open till 8 o'clock in Tarboro at the Board of Elections office each day, and Saturday, October 4th, they'll be closing at 3. Tommy, if you'll take us to Nash County so we can see what's going on there.
All right. It's mostly the same, but you can see it.
And that's interesting. So, this is going to be interesting. So if you live in Nash County, but also live in the city of Rocky Mount, the early vote site is at the Nash County Board of Election, which is at 1005 Eastern Ave.
I believe that's 1006 Eastern Avenue.
Okay, 1006 Eastern Ave, Suite 109 in Nashville, North Carolina. And that'll be the early vote site available for people who live on the Nash County side of Rocky Mount. On the last week, just as in the Edgecombe side, if you live on the Nash County side, you will vote at the Braswell Memorial Library at 727 North Grace Street in Rocky Mount. So for all of those folks that are assisting voters, make sure you know whether they live on the Nash or the Edgecombe side of the line when you help folks get to early voting sites. Now, Morrisville is in Durham or Wake County? It's in Wake County, Tom?
Yes, but Morrisville is not holding a primary.
Okay. So these are the dates. We have an understanding. This is an election for the city council and mayor of Rocky Mount. It's an election. So we do need to make sure that we turn people out. And then in Durham and New Bern, this is a primary. Cumberland County, is also a primary, and we need to get that vote turned out. Get that vote turned out. It's too early. I did see where Durham has some in the primary, the previous primary, um, about 24,000 voters voted in that first primary. We need to do better than that, Durham. So I'm setting our target at 30,000, and and I'm Black Durham. You did not show up in the before. You did not show up in the numbers that you're capable of, and you let other people decide who the candidates were going to be for our offices. So I'm expecting that we're going to generate 15,000 Black voters. That's the goal for this round in terms of turnout. I need everyone to help. Tommy, I want to thank you for bringing this update, because I know that you're getting ready to go and work the polls. And so next week we'll not only have your stats and facts, but we'll also have a field report from what you're seeing on the ground as you're working the polling place. What polling place are you working today?
I will be at the Board of Elections site. Yeah, so
if you all want to meet our stats and facts man, he will be at the Board of Election site. Let him know that you see him and watch him on Doing Justice Brings Joy. Thank you, Thomas, for being with us today and giving us these stats and facts about how folks can participate in these early elections. If you will, before you leave, kind of slow roll through so people can see if they're in other communities where their voting places are.
okay.
So,
So I will simply state the counties, and I'll slowly scroll by, so people may or may not be able to. No, I will. Let me expand this so that they might have a better chance to see the site and hours. Okay, so we have here Burke, Camden, Catawba, Craven, Cumberland, and Durham counties will have this. There is Edgecombe, Franklin, Guilford, Harnett, and Nash counties. Well, let's see. You can see Edgecombe, Franklin, and Guilford here. Let's see Harnett, Nash, Orange, Pasquotank, Person, Randolph, and Richmond counties may have races of some type. And finally, Vance and Wake County.
so there are a number of municipalities in Wake County other than Raleigh. But it appears that everyone has to go to the Wake Board of Election to early vote. So that's interesting. We'll talk about, and that looks like that's for the entirety of the time that if you're in Wake County, if you're in Zebulon or Wendell or Knightdale, Lawrenceville, Apex.
I believe that the Wake County municipalities that are holding their elections are holding them in November.
Okay, no
I recall
primaries.
correctly, the office is open because there are small parts of Wake County that are within the Durham city limits. So there may be
Oh,
people in Wake County who can vote in the Durham city elections, and so the office
oh,
may be open for them. And so I don't think there are any uh, municipalities that are entirely in Wake County that are holding their primaries, but I will check again and
now
inform you
is
of that.
that the case for Orange County as well?
Uh, Possibly, I will check before I go to make sure.
All right, people. So if you live in the city of Durham but live in Wake County, you have to vote at the Wake County Board of Elections. Tommy, I'm not going to hold you up. We'll just follow up for people next Friday, and we'll do a short take during the week where those offices are for Durham. Thank you, Tommy, for being with me today. And get out there and help folks work those polls and help folks exercise their franchise.
All right.
Folks, it's been a busy week, and but we're going to start where we always do with a Target update. Target, I'm going to refresh. And Target is dropping like a rock today. Um, its stock has now broken the $90 mark, and it is now fallen to 88.33 and is dropping. Over the past 3 months, it has dropped 6.82%. And over the last, they only do 3 months so that's back to July 14th. And at that point, it has risen as high as $108, and it has dropped. It has been steadily dropping since Labor Day. Since the teachers joined the boycott, it has continually dropped. At the same time, Costco has been rising, and I should have got some Costco stock at the beginning of this thing. But it has been rising over the course of this fast. So I just want to tell everybody we got to keep our foot on the gas and keep holding on in our struggle against people capitulating to Trump. Self-censorship is a real problem. September the 17th was Constitution Day in the United States. And this might be one of the last times that we can freely discuss what our Constitution means, what our Bill of Rights means. As you recall, on July 4th, I read to you the Declaration of Independence. Today I'm going to read to you the Bill of Rights, which are the first 10 amendments to our Constitution. And I want to highlight for you just how fragile our republic is. And how dangerously close we are coming to not having a nation we will recognize from a civic participation point of view when we hit our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. The U.S. Constitution, when it was originally passed, laid out the structure of our government. It laid the groundwork, the structure. Article 1 gave all legislative powers to Congress. And it established that the Congress of the United States would have two houses. The House of Representatives, that would be chosen every other year, every 2 years, by the people of the United States. And the Senate of the United States would be composed of 2 senators chosen by the legislature thereof every 6 years, and later that was changed to by the people every 6 years in staggered amounts. Article 2 of our Constitution explains the executive power is vested in the President of the United States. And but a lot of the powers that are being wielded by the president do not belong to him. I urge you to read the responsibilities of the House and the Senate. It's the House and the Senate that have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. It is the duty of Congress to borrow money on credit, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the nation. It's Congress who can coin money to provide for punishment of counterfeiting, to establish post offices, to promote the progress of science and the useful arts, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and to make rules concerning captures on land and sea. It is Congress whose duty is to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for longer than 2 years. It's to provide and maintain a navy, to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. None of that is going on. So I just want to make this an opportunity for you to look at our Constitution. But I'm going to read for you our Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to our Constitution, because the assault on our liberties that is taking place. The Constitution itself was structural and organized our nation by structure and order. But it is the amendment, the Bill of Rights, that gives us our freedoms and liberties here in America. And I want to read to you, because we never do, the preamble to the Bill of Rights. The Congress of the United States begun and held at the city of New York on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 1789. The conventions of a number of the states, having at the time of their adopting the Constitution, expressed a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers, that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will best ensure the beneficent ends of its institution. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America, in Congress assembled, 2/3 of both houses concurring, that the following articles be proposed to the legislature of the several states as amendments to the Constitution of the United States, all or any of which articles, when ratified by 3/4 of the said legislatures, to be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the said Constitution. Articles in addition to and amendments of the Constitution of the United States of America, proposed by Congress and ratified by the legislatures of the several states, pursuant to the 5th article of the original Constitution. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I'm going to stop right there. We can't get any further than the First Amendment. The First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. America is a religious nation, but each person is free to worship as they see fit, without restrictions and prohibitions by the government. America is not a Christian nation. It is a nation that allowed the people who were running from the various countries in Europe to freely worship their God in their manner. There is no state religion. The Constitution does not allow the abridging of free speech. We are free to have our opinions. We should not have public figures like Jimmy Fallon being punished for freely expressing his views. The government, and understand that these freedoms are freedoms from the government's incursion. The FCC chairman, as a representative of the government, is not free to impose penalties and fines on networks, the press, freedom of speech or of the press. You cannot squelch. You cannot use government means to squelch, to censure, to punish, to remove from the air Jimmy Fallon for his opinions and his satire. Are we free to, as individuals, to say in private individuals and private entities, to just turn the channel? Absolutely. Are advertisers free not to advertise on the Jimmy Fallon shows? Absolutely. But when mergers are threatened, when licenses are threatened, if you carry the Jimmy Fallon show, your license as a broadcaster, your license as a part of the free press will be snatched. That is unconstitutional. That is unlawful. And for the FCC chairman to be bragging about how he got Jimmy Kimmel, and Stephen Colbert off the air is problematic. It's really problematic. And it's unconstitutional. And this is a founding document. It was ratified on December 15, 1791, so I'm probably going to bring it back up on that date as well. But it was passed by Congress in 1789. It's a foundational document. It's the First Amendment. It's the first right that needed to be protected. Or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. all these crackdowns on protests, laws being passed by states that say that if you are peaceably assembled and a car can run you over and that not be a crime. Public sanctioning of against the rights of the people. Mark, I see you're with us, and I'm focusing on this First Amendment because Constitution Day was
Wednesday. It was on Wednesday.
It was on Wednesday. What are your thoughts about what's been going on as it relates to our constitutional rights, our right to free speech, our right to peaceably assemble, our right to have opinions that are not part of the president's agenda?
Yeah, well, like you said, we were just talking about that on World Edition because, of course, we've got Rick Rosner, who is one of the people that's on the network and was a former writer for Jimmy Kimmel some 11 years ago and everything like that. So he actually knows Jimmy. I don't know how much they keep in touch now, but he did work for the man and everything along those lines. But yeah, definitely, it seems like whether it's the New York Times or Jimmy Kimmel or anybody else, that if you say something against the president, that he is targeting folks and all along those lines. And definitely targeting is not a good thing. And we know that the First Amendment is a very important amendment. That's the one of freedom of press and freedom of speech and everything like that. So it's a very important amendment that we need to have out there, but it does seem like it is being attempts to squelch it and everything along those lines. So we've got people that have got their own opinions on these matters and are feeling that, with the open market of places that you can have your speech, that they've got to figure out how to regulate it. But I don't know that this is matter of fact, I know this is not the correct way to regulate it. I get what people are saying when you got vaccine deniers and others that are on social media. But hey, that's all part of the conversations that are allowed to be had or should be allowed to be had, where you can have a right to have differences of opinion and have these discussions in the open and not try to hide under the veil of whatever your office is.
Yeah, I was reading there's a local mayor, I think in Pine Bluff.
Pinehurst or Pine Bluff? No, Pine Bluff is Arkansas. Pinehurst.
No, it was in North Carolina, so a small town, I want to say in maybe Moore County.
Okay.
It popped up on my thing earlier. But he's up for election this week, and he the Republicans women invited him to come speak about in a tribute to Charlie Kirk, and he respectfully declined, stating that on his personal email, he responded saying that he would not be participating because he did not support the positions that were taken. Yes. And they're demanding that he apologize. And this black mayor of small town was like, I'm sorry, no, I'm not doing it. And if you don't if the people are upset about what I've done and don't think it's something that they want, then they don't have to re-elect me. And the only thing he said he was going to apologize um, for was bringing the town into this public light that, um, bringing the controversy into of the town, into the national media. That was his only apology.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've even had local politicians that have gotten in trouble for some of the things that they have said, and all along those lines. I was actually just reading an email from my dad's significant other where she is not too thrilled with our current mayor because apparently he had promised that he would let actually my nephew, she said her grandson, which is since they've been dating forever, that is a correct terminology and everything, shadow him and everything. And despite a lot of conversations about going back and forth, that shadowing never took place. And even Leo on her own page wrote back to her that sometimes things get dropped, balls get dropped, and that might have been a case of a ball being dropped and all along those lines. But we also know that some local people are upset about his views with developers and wondering whether he's too much in bed with the developers and all along those lines. And there's definitely some aggressive campaigning against him that I've seen even on social media. We know that Jackie is not pulling any punches, Jackie Wagstaff and others as well. So it ought to be interesting to see what goes on, whether he retains his office or whether Anjane, the former mayor's daughter, gets it, even though I've talked to some people that are wondering what her track record is, because a lot of people want folks with a track record, but then you've also got Pablo, who does have a track record with education. So it could be still interesting as to who our next mayor here in Durham is, but you can definitely see some people online that are using their freedom of speech to get their viewpoints out there as to whether they think that he is solidly in bed with development or not in bed with development, and whether some of the other parts of town are getting the growth that they need.
Yeah, there's a lot of local the PACs took different tracks on their endorsements, and so it's really, people are going to have to really educate themselves around choices, and they have those choices.
I didn't see what the PACs did, so I know that one PAC went, I guess, for Leo. Did the other PAC go for Anjane? So what did the PACs do? You said they took different tracks on the PACs and everything. So I've not been following. I usually do follow the PACs, but I didn't follow them as closely as of yet. So for those that are watching, it might be like me and hadn't caught what the PACs have done. What did the PACs do?
So I'm going to be accurate because I don't want to get this one. I don't want to get this one wrong. But the Indy reports that so the Indy and the Durham committee have endorsed Leonardo Williams, the current mayor.
Right.
The Indy and most of the other PACs have endorsed Matt Kopak, but the Durham committee endorsed DeGianna.
Mm-hmm.
The independent made no endorsement.
Yeah, I find that interesting that they can find an endorsement. I think that was on Ward 2.
Yeah, on Mark Anthony Middleton. And then the city council, and then on Ward 3, they supported Chelsea Cook, who, the Durham committee endorsed Diana Meadow. And then there's so I thought that was interesting, and I'm trying to see.
Who the committee endorsed?
The committee endorsed Deidreana, Mark Middleton, Leonardo, and Diana
Madoff.
Madoff.
And the People's Alliance.
And I'm looking for who the people. I'm reading to see who the.
You know, there's a major issue that is going on nationally and internationally. Well, more nationally, but definitely in our state politics as well. That I was curious your thoughts around it while you're looking that up and everything, because some people are saying because of their influence, because they have some decent amount of wealth and influence, that Madoff may be almost kind of like buying some of these elections. Because I have heard some people, I've had some conversations with people that are wondering how much of a financial influence she's having, not just on her own election, but other elections as well. And I do know that that's been a popular conversation just in general as to the influence of finances in elections. I was just wondering if you had been hearing similar things and your thoughts around that, because they're definitely
there's some controversy about this new PAC called Yes for Durham,
right.
And it looked like initially it was headquartered in a building owned by her husband,
right.
But they changed where they're located, and they denied that there's any coercion. The People's Alliance endorsed Matt Kopak in Ward 1, Shanita Burris in Ward 2, Chelsea Cook in Ward 3, who is the incumbent,
right,
and Leonardo Williams.
Yeah, I thought most of the endorsements had been going for Leo, even though hopefully, Ajane and Pablo may pick up some. I know that they have their own groups that are behind them. So I imagine that some of the education groups will endorse at some point Pablo and everything like that. And I imagine that Ajane will get some of the endorsements from some of the groups that in the past have supported her dad, as well as some of the arts groups. But I haven't heard any of them formally give an endorsement as of yet. That doesn't mean that they won't. They've got time. Early voting just started yesterday and everything. So they still got time to get their endorsements out there, but I had not heard of any as of yet.
And apparently there's another new PAC. Called the Durham Black PAC. Have you heard of them?
I hadn't heard of that, but that might be something that Jackie is behind, or some other people might be behind. So yeah, maybe there's a new PAC. Because I do know that there were some people that were, which would not surprise me, that were feeling that they were iced out of the conversation by the Durham affairs and everything like that. And a lot of times, if you feel like you're iced out, then you will start your own and everything like that. So I would not be surprised if there was not some folks upset about being iced out that created their own.
And again, as we're supporting freedom of speech and freedom of assembly to express your views and to petition your government, I am all excited about participation. Tommy was on earlier and shared the turnout votes in Durham. I'm gonna put up on the screen in a minute some of what we're aiming for. In 2023, a little less than 24,000 people voted in the Durham primary.
Wow.
And so we, you know me, I've set targets. We gotta hit them.
You got to get those targets.
And so I'm setting a target of 30,000 for this primary. This is a controversial primary. The interesting thing is in that last primary, about 8,500 black folk voted.
Right.
We need to show, you know, if we care about what's going on in, if we care about what's going on in Hayti, if we care about what's going on in Bragtown and Walltown and East End and Google Terrace, we have to let them know that we mean business and that it's important. And vote according to your interests and concerns. Don't let other people decide for you.
Yep. That's very true.
Ward 2 and Ward 1, these are black wards, predominantly black wards.
Yeah, definitely Ward 1 and Ward 2 are very much black wards and everything like that. I know that I think Carl's paper that is student run, they might be making their endorsements very soon, but he called me recently and it sounds like they were going to go for Leo, but they were also having interviews. I know they had one because it was on his Facebook with Elijah King and with others. So I'm sure that they'll be interviewing all the candidates. And then after they interview the candidates, they'll make their official endorsements. But it does the student run paper. I think a lot of the students are Duke students, if I remember correctly, because that's what Carl is affiliated with now and everything. But it should be interesting to see which way they roll and who they pick as their endorsements, because that is definitely some young folks and a newer publication, not a new publication, but a newer publication and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see which way these young people go in their endorsements and everything like that. And I don't know if you saw this, but just to let folks know, since if they know qualified people, as you know, we've been going through management changes and we had an interim director at the Hayti Heritage Center, but the search firm finally put out the job notice of, you know, for people in the arts that are got fundraising abilities and other kinds of abilities that is actually out there and everything like that. If you type in LinkedIn, I think it's art consulting or something like that, you'll see that there are efforts to find a new director and a new permanent director that can take us well into the next 50 years, since we're celebrating 50 years this year and everything like that. So that notice came out on Monday. So it came out on Monday that is out there that they are searching. And I know some people that are interested, and we'll see if they apply or not, including some that are with current arts organizations that are here in town.
And another, please, if you're in the arts community, I know a lot of our art spaces are under siege right now. Maybe this is an opportunity for some a consolidation and under one rubric, and have like little satellite Hayti heritages, you know, that cover some of the other art space that we could fundraise jointly or something like that.
It could be time for new leadership that does some joint efforts, even with some of the other people of color organizations and everything like that. And not only that, but had the pleasure, because they were doing a partnership with Duke Performances on Wednesday, and the artist Ashley Dior Brown is out of DC, and she was telling me that because you know sometimes they'll attach things on it to bills, like federal bills and everything like that. So I think she said on the 29th of this month will be her next performance. It'll be in DC, but it's also part of an effort that she's part of to raise living wages for artists. So it's attached to another bill, but part of that bill has a clause that will give, just like they were trying to give the fast food workers living wages, it would give living wages to performing artists. And we know that a lot of times performing artists are oftentimes struggling with their daily finances and everything like that. So anything that we can do to give them a living wage would be a wonderful thing. So that is something that is attached to a current bill that'll be voted on sometime this year. And we'll see which way it goes. But if that could get voted on in a positive way, I'm sure that would be wonderful. But yeah, Ashley Dior Brown did say that she was going to be performing. I think she said on the 29th, which is a Monday, and definitely would be campaigning because she has her own nonprofit up in DC that is about supporting the DC artist community.
That's great. And, you know, there's so much. The federal, the House yesterday voted on a continuing resolution to keep the government open until November the 21st.
Okay.
But it is dead on arrival in the Senate because it does not include any thing to fix the healthcare situation, extend the tax, extend the ACA credits. Oh man, I was at a summit on Monday and Tuesday in Asheville that really frightened me in terms of everybody's talking about Medicaid, everybody is talking about Medicaid expansion, everybody's talking about the cuts to Medicaid, everybody's talking about the high premiums that folks that are in the ACA are going to experience, but nobody's talking about the hike in private health insurance costs that are going to happen as a result of these other things. They're talking about, depending on what Congress does, a 20 to 40% hike in healthcare costs, deductibles. I was sitting next to a guy who is the head of a department, and he was telling me that to pay for his insulin, it was a $537 deductible. And he's the head of the department, right?
No.
And I said, now, if that's what your deductible is,
Imagine what
the
the
deductible for your employee to cover that, but he's not making what you make. And he said that the average employee that works under him makes $37,000 a year.
right.
I mean, and that's just one prescription.
Yeah, and just to mention somebody, because I just saw this, and I had seen some other quotes similar to this and everything. That a lot of things that we're dealing with, and I don't agree with a lot of things because he had some very toxic viewpoints on a lot of issues, including issues around race and class and everything. But one of the things that Charlie Kirk said that I do agree with is that a lot of our healthcare issues are preventative because we are oftentimes doing things that are not helping us in the things that we choose to eat, whether it's fast food or whether it's a DoorDash or whether it's other things that are high in potassium and high in sodium and high in other things. Because he was saying that probably about 90% of the healthcare issues that we face were preventative and all along those lines. I don't know that I think that it's that high, but it is definitely quite high. And a lot of it is things that we could control if we chose to control them.
And yet there are cuts to nutrition programs.
Right, exactly.
Yet we have cut SNAP benefits. Yet we have cut free lunch programs, free breakfast programs for children. Yet we have cut programs that have been piloted where we take agricultural surplus vegetables and put them in schools and make them available to as a health benefit through grocery, so people can buy them.
Because I know before the pandemic, and I don't know if it's still the case, but before the pandemic, because I found out about this ironically through tests that I was helping conduct, because they have to use resource material in order to give these tests and everything like that. And I remember that before the pandemic, there were several athletic teams. I want to say some in New York, some in maybe Atlanta and other places, that were literally using some of the food that was not served in some of these big fancy football games and everything, and taking them to the poor and everything along those lines. And I don't know if those programs are still intact because the pandemic came and everything like that, but I do know that there were a number of professional teams. I think the Jets might have been one of them that would literally go into the kind of the booths and the skyboxes. And, a lot of times there's all these rich, well-off folks that are getting these wonderful meals and everything. And a lot of times these meals are not fully consumed. So they were making those available to people in the poor neighborhoods. And I know that even at the center, when we've had rentals, we have sometimes gone and taken some of the leftover to the Durham shelter or other shelters if they would take them, because there's no need for them to just kind of like go to waste and everything like that. So I just wanted your take also, because like I said, I know that because I've learned about that program most recently through measurement, because it was one of the test questions that was being used as one of the resources when they were talking about economy and environment, and I forgot what the exact topic was, but it was definitely something on the, I believe, high school or middle school level, and that's where I first heard about these programs. But like I said, I know that some of them were dated pre-pandemic, so they may not be as active as they used to be, but hopefully they're still active. And some of these leagues, whether it's the NBA, the WNBA, the NFL, this new flag football league, or others, are making these things available to others that could be very useful for them.
One of the things that we're seeing is that the food banks are running out of food.
Mm-hmm.
The farmers in some areas of the country are mowing. They don't have workers to, and the food is going to waste in the fields.
Yeah.
Some of that food could be gleaned. I know there's a ex-football player in Apex, somewhere in Raleigh, Wake County, who he owns a farm that the whole purpose of his farm is to make produce for a food bank. That's the whole purpose. He doesn't farm. He farms, for gleaners to come and get the crops and feed the poor.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that, I got to give big credit. I think Khalil Temple, I think is the name of it, and a couple of other ones around the area definitely do make food available. I know that my aunt, the last several weeks, has brought some of that food over here to me, because she goes there and gets some for herself, but then she also makes it available for me, and I think she might give it to others, maybe even my brothers and others. But I know she just dropped off one early today. I think that was from the Khalil Temple and everything like that, if I remember the name that she gave me, and all along those lines. But I know that there are several churches and other places that she will stop at that are helping make food available for those that might need supplement to their meals or to some more healthy eating and all along those lines. I know she's, and sometimes, don't get me wrong, they'll give you some junk food too, because she did drop off a cake and some cupcakes as well. But definitely they have some good.
Well, you gotta have some food for the soul too now.
Right, exactly.
You gotta feed the soul too.
Yeah.
At this heightened season, the CDC and the FDA are not approving flu vaccines. They're not going to pay for them. And so if that's exposing more of our school children to various illnesses. If they're not mandated, okay, if you get rid of the mandated vaccines, or then the insurance companies are not going to pay for them. And then they become elective, and then that's out of pocket. And then our children are at risk. We're back in school. It's flu season. No flu. All the research has been shut down. I'm telling you, the healthcare and insurance people had me terrified at
Well, no,
that conference.
the health industry that we've got now, particularly under RFK, and we've been talking about that on Dr. Patmos' show that airs here on the network regularly, are quite scary because, like I said, we already knew that he was anti-vaccines and everything like that. And I know that on one of our other shows, I can't remember which one it was, but it was one I know what it was. It was World Politics yesterday. We were talking about the fact that there's even this notion of some cutbacks on organ donations and all along those lines. So that is very scary, the fact that he wants to cut back on organ donations when we know, and I know you mentioned it before, the need, particularly in our community, for heart, kidney, and liver and other types of organs. But now our current administration is wanting to cut back on some of these things that are desperately needed.
Let me say this, and I want to shout out and just thank God, because I've been, as you know, and remarked, a big advocate that we need to be considering organ donation.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my dear friends and one of my other friends did a live person kidney donation this week. They're both doing well. But my friend who needed the kidney transplant was fortunate enough that we had a colleague that we love and had worked with over the years who volunteered to do a live kidney transplant. And they are both doing so well. They had the transplant on Monday. By Tuesday, both of them were functioning well. The kidney was working, and it was better than the match was closer than a relative. It was just about as perfect a match as it could be. So I do want to thank my listeners and for taking seriously the call for registering for organ donations. I don't even know this. Sometimes, Mark, and I may be a little bit exaggerative, but I don't think so. When I think about the number of deaths that are going to be caused by this administration, it appears to me that they may just be engaged in some eugenic, philosophical culling practice. That there is an intentionality to have the poor die. It's not just rhetoric where they're going to die anyway. As Joni Hurst, was it Joni Hurst? I don't want to call the wrong one, but I believe it was. Said when talking about Medicaid and Medicaid expansion funds, I think it's intentional. You get rid of the NIH, get rid of cancer research. Why, Mark?
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Why? What logic is there to shutting down cancer research? And as one doctor at that conference said to me last week, it's not like if they give the money back tomorrow, we can just flip a switch on and go back to where we were. We have to start from the beginning of the experiments because those experiments have died.
Mm-hmm.
That progress is gone. And nobody is opposed to cancer research in the world. You know what I'm saying? Nobody. And you get rid of, you have panels that say that we are not going to approve flu vaccines during this season. We're not going to approve COVID vaccines for anybody. And so, Mark, that means if I had not gotten my COVID shot when it and RSV shots early, right, I would be exposed during this season. And last year I almost left here. I spent 16 days in the hospital because of COVID.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm going to be running around. There are going to be kids with measles vaccines. We've had a tuberculosis case. Who's heard of tuberculosis?
Yep, we've had TB. I think we've had some incidences of whooping cough and other things that have not been, they're supposed to have been off the radar and have been off the radar for a while. I mean, I think I've even heard people say that chickenpox is coming back and everything like that. So things that have been off the radar are supposedly coming back, and definitely TB is one of them. Chickenpox is another, and the other things. So yeah, there's got to be some stuff going on that is
there's some intentionality. There's some absolute intentionality, and globally, we're talking about 45 million lives. 45 million lives as a result of these efforts. We've got a comment on the stage. Oh, no, that's not really.
Yeah, that's one of them crazy comments. Somebody trying to get us to buy stuff that we don't need.
So, yeah, it's really important. Don't register to donate. Again, some donations don't cost much. It's but blood and plasma, bone marrow, those kind of donations. Just sitting in a chair sipping on cranberry juice all day. So please do, at the minimum, blood and plasma. Pregnant women, please donate your stem cells from your placenta. These are low cost ways. And thank you to those who register on your Department of motor vehicle to get donor, be a organ donor. And thank you to those strong and brave people who are willing to be living donors of your kidney and a piece of your liver. I appreciate that. And I'm so happy that my friends are doing well and will be back in the streets with me soon. It's just tomorrow. If you want to hang out with me, I'm going to be at the Coalition for Affordable Housing and Transit's Educational Housing Forum. That's from 9 to 3 p.m. And I'm looking for the location at the Lion Park Community Center at 1309 Haley Street in Durham.
It's near First Cavalry.
At First Cavalry.
It's near First Cavalry. Right?
Near First Cavalry. So that's tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. to 2. Come hear me talk about the Uniform Development Ordinance, and who we're going to hear ordinance about who owns Durham presentation, facts on the cost of building in Durham. We're going to talk about on my panel about the vision we have for housing and housing affordability in Durham. We're talking about rail to trail housing opportunities. And the New Hope Alliance is going to share its mapping project. It's going to be a fun-filled day. Lunch will be provided. So I'm going to bring up on the screen the hashtag for you to click on, if I can figure out how to do that.
Put it in
Are y'all
banners.
seeing it?
Huh? Not seeing it yet. Oh, wait a minute. You put something out there. There you go. Yep, that's it. We see it.
Okay. So there's the QR code so you can register so they can have some lunch for you when you get there tomorrow. I'm so excited to be part of the UDO rewrite. What is it, and will it enable more affordable housing? I want to caution people that the UDO will only address the increase in the number of dwellings. Whether those dwellings end up being affordable or not is what we as a community have to fight for. And so I hope you all will show up tomorrow, participate in the forum. If you can't be there all day, be there for me, which is about 10 o'clock. But try to be there at 9 so that we can get a bagel.
Yeah. And speaking of which, after you're done with that event, and if you haven't run out of energy and all along those lines, you can head to downtown Durham, because this is the 50th anniversary, and I'll be there in the afternoon doing some of the MCN on both Saturday and Sunday. But this is the 50th anniversary of Centerfest, so Durham Street Festival will be going.
Is Centerfest this weekend?
Centerfest is this weekend. Yes, Centerfest.
Okay, so we're gonna do some thinking for the people, and then we're gonna go and play all day at Centerfest.
Yes.
Centerfest is tomorrow and Sunday.
Tomorrow and Sunday, yes.
If you've never been to Centerfest, people, it is one of the great things that makes Durham Durham. It's a street arts festival, international food festival. You'll see their music stages and demonstration stages and visual artists with their wares. And oh my goodness, you bring your money.
Yeah.
Because you definitely are not going to want to leave without
some sort of artwork, some sort of CD, some sort of something or another. And definitely you're going to be wanting to grab, like you said, some of that delicious food, because they've got all kinds of great food out there. So yeah, you're going to want your money, because there's definitely going to be plenty of opportunities to spend the money on some fun things, and to also support local folks, because most of the artists are from the area, even though there are some from other parts of the state as well. But it's definitely a good chance to support local performers, local artists.
Yeah, if you like unique jewelry, if you are looking for something that no one else is going to have, if you really want to support our local artists, I don't know how many paintings I have from artists in Durham who are not necessarily nationally known artists, but who have beautiful works that they produce. Does Eric Kelly still paint, or is he now all business all the time?
Well, he paints, but he doesn't really do that much with Centerfest. He paints. I know he painted a mural for a friend of his at their house and everything, and I know he still paints regularly. But yeah, he's definitely about his business of conferences and the things that he does in that space. But he hasn't done a Centerfest show, I think, in a while. I don't remember him doing one, but he probably did one back in the day. And everything.
Back when he was like a starving artist, right. Not when he was a big time Dr. Eric Kelly.
As he's Dr. Eric Kelly, and he's all into the business world and everything like that. But yes, he still does paint, because I know he painted a house for a friend of his. I think that was last year and everything. And actually, they had some drumming that was done as a kind of a salute to the mural being painted. And I want to say it might be his friend Chris Dickey, who is with the city council and everything. And I want to say that the mural that he did is near downtown, because I think that's where Chris and his family live at and everything. So he still paints. And I know sometimes even on his business expo, you'll see him sometimes pop in his painting garb. So yeah, he still paints it even at his own house and all along those lines. So yeah, he's still very much active in his painting world.
But
the other thing I was going to add really quickly about Cinefest is that it is also an opportunity to get to know some of your nonprofits, both art nonprofits. Like I know the Symphony is usually there, but all as is and the Parks and Rec, but also some of our political organizations are there as well. So it is an opportunity
yeah,
to get to
I would
know
say
some
if
of
you
the
want to learn
various
more, if you want to learn more about candidates, they have a like nonprofit
bro.
political place where you can go and learn about things that you might need. If you need housing assistance, if you need any kind of things that you would go to a nonprofit or a
Right.
social service agency for, they'll have they'll have tables and brochures where
Right.
you can kind of one-stop shop
Yeah.
and find information. It is the most fun when the kids were kids and not adults. We lived at that was one of those near free events that you could go to with your kids if you have kids. It's an all day entertainment day for them. They have a stage
Yep.
where
There's
and activities, face painting.
Mhm.
It's just a marvelous thing.
Yeah,
So
but there's definitely things for the kids, and there's also walking street performers as well. I think that the piano guy will be out there. I know that the silver lady will be out there, and a number of other folks, including some other folks that will be out there to add to that atmosphere. I think it's supposed to be another warm day tomorrow, but don't worry, there will be the lemonade stands and the soda stands as well, so you can definitely get your drink on, even on a warm day, because it's like around high 80s today, and I think it's supposed to be high 80s tomorrow before we get ready to be
have
cool
they
again.
incorporated food trucks into the
Yep, there are
Cinefest?
Yep, there are food trucks that are incorporated there as well. So there are a few food trucks. I know the popcorn guys are there. There's a couple of ones that I think there might be one of the Louisiana ones, and so yeah, they've definitely got quite a few food trucks as well. So definitely you'll get your feel of good eating.
All right, so we got be serious in the morning. Let's get that housing forum done.
Right.
And then we're going to spend the rest of the day. This is a Do Durham day.
That's right.
This is a Do Durham day, and we're going to attend the Coalition for Affordable Housing Coalition's Housing Forum at Lyon Park Community Center tomorrow from 9 to 2. We're going to get our little lunchbox and head over to downtown Durham for Centerfest. That will be on both Saturday and Sunday. Enjoy your weekend, Durham, and thank you for joining us on Doing Justice Brings Joy.
Just here, I'm protecting